And I'm really excited if you're still with me because we're on the home stretch now. And this is the 7th lecture, I believe, that I'll be giving. So that means that you've stayed with me from 1 to 10, and I'm so happy you're still here. And I'll be talking about investing in Africa versus the rest of the world. And the reason why I put together this module is because I know that not everybody that's watching this video is from Africa. Or has experience investing in Africa. And, last year, for instance, African startups attracted $4 billion. That's the highest ever amount that we've seen attracted by African startups. And that's more than the previous 2 years combined. So Africa is hot right now. A lot of people from America are investing in Africa. A lot of people from Asia, Europe are looking at investing in African startups. And I thought that we could put this module together in a way that it explains some of the nuances and things to think about when you're investing in Africa. I would also advise that if you're a GP, then it might be best to create sort of a separate vehicle where you can actually invest in an African VC, somebody that has local contacts, somebody that understands the market a bit better, and then perhaps taking a seat on the investment committee. But if you're investing directly, then this will definitely help you sort of dimension the opportunities in Africa and sort of understand the basics of Africa. So whether you're co-investing with a local partner, whether you're investing directly, or whether you've decided, you know what, I'm going to carve out some of my funds and, investing in an African GP who knows the lay of the land, who has the local contacts, etc. Whichever one you choose, I'm sure this will be helpful to you if you're not familiar with the African environment. So investing in Africa versus the rest of the world. So according to the Nigerian Deposit Insurance organization in Nigeria, 98% of Nigerians have less than $1,000 roughly in their accounts. And you have to consider the fact that most of the poorest Nigerians are actually unbanked. And that's the same situation across Africa, where our economies are mostly informal and most of the poorest people actually don't have bank accounts. So you can use that to kind of think about the levels of wealth that we have in Africa. And also, if you look at the percentage of income spent on food, this chart shows that in North America, you spend roughly 10% of your income on food, and the rest of the 90% is disposable income that you spend on things other than food. And in Europe, most of it is between 10 to 20%, Eurasia, 10 to 20% of income is spent on food. In Nigeria, about 66% of income is spent on food. That means that anything that you're selling is competing with food. In the poorer regions of Nigeria, you see 80 to 90% of income being spent on food. And that's really important when you're in tech and when you're trying to sell things to other people that aren't food. You've got to remember, obviously, that the disposable income that these people have is very different. And if you're not selling food, then what are you selling that is so important to them that they will spend a proportion of that 20 to 40% that is left with you? But that's not the whole story. And I think that a lot of people in India, for instance, some of the Indian VCs would want to invest in Nigeria. And many people tell me that Nigeria and India are the same. That if you've had a successful business in India, you can easily scale to Nigeria. And if you've had a successful business in Nigeria, you can easily scale to India because they're same in terms of wealth, in terms of demography, etc. But they're actually not. So in India, there are almost 60,000 millionaires, dollar millionaires, HNIs in Mumbai city alone, which is, Mumbai is the Abuja of India for the Nigerians in the room. And this is important because it gives us an indication of wealth and therefore spending power in the high-end segment of each of these cities. I said that the number of millionaires is about 60,000 in Mumbai alone, whereas the total number of millionaires in Nigeria is about 12,000. So across the entire country, we have fewer millionaires than big cities in India like Mumbai and Delhi. And it's hard to scale outside a particular city. But it shows that even if you're a startup catering to the higher end of income in Mumbai, you'd probably make a lot more money working in just Mumbai than you would if you scaled across the whole of West Africa, say. So that's the first point I'd make about HNIs. The second point is that India has far more rich people than Nigeria, but Nigeria has a lot more poor people. So if you look at the numbers in terms of poor people as a percentage of the population, almost half of the population is extremely poor in Nigeria compared to just 5% of the population in India. So Nigeria has almost 90 million extremely poor people, while India, despite having more than quadruple Nigeria's population, if my calculations are correct, still has almost as many poor people. And if you look at the rest of the countries with extremely high numbers of poor people, they're almost all African. So Congo, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Mozambique, Kenya, Uganda, all places that have extremely high numbers of poor people. So there was a lot of work a few years ago about the fortune at the bottom of the pyramid and how you can sell things to extremely poor people. You just need a huge number of extremely poor people and still have a viable business model. So that's important to think about. And I'd advise you, if you're thinking about investing in Africa, to go back and read, actually. I think it's a Stanford professor that wrote The Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid. And it's a really interesting read if you're thinking about investing in emerging markets, particularly African markets. So if you look at the Indian startup stack, consumer stack, you can see India 1, where they're earning more than $9,000 per year. And there's about 100 million people in this category of $9,000 per year. And as you can see, they can afford a whole load of stuff, right? Here you have some of the technology companies that you might be familiar with that do sort of more high-end services. And then in India too, people that earn about $3,000 per capita, like the Philippines, you can still see that some apps and some technology services are available to them. But when you get down to here, where they're earning $1,000, which is most of sub-Saharan Africa, to be honest, it's just WhatsApp and hardly anything else. So India has this higher level of middle class where they earn more than most Africans. But by the time you get to India 3, that's at the level of Africa, they hardly have any technology companies at all. So let's get thinking about the total addressable market and the amount of disposable income and the levels of poverty in Africa, even compared to India. So this is the Nigerian consumer stack, and I'm going to be flipping between the slides, which I don't usually do, but I think it's important for this. So in the $9,000 and above category, you can see that there are 2 million people out of 200 million people in Nigeria that earn above $9,000. Do you remember how much it was in India? Let's go back to the India slide. Here, we have 110 million people earning more than $9,000. Let's go back to the Nigerian slide. 2 million people earning more than $9,000 per year in Nigeria. Let's go back to the India slide. $100 million, 100 million people earning more than $9,000 in India. Let's go back to the Nigerian again. Huge difference. So for the Nigerians that I'm speaking to, the Lekki living, Ikoyi living, VI living, maybe getting into Okonjo, tiny bit of Ikeja, part of Ogba, then that's it. Right? That's your middle class. 2 million people that you can sell these high-end apps to. That's very, very different than India. And then you get into the second category, 3,000, between 3,000 and 9,000. These guys run out of data frequently. Usually, the bottom end of this section probably won't even own a smartphone. The people that own the smartphones don't keep their smartphones on all the time, or they don't keep their data on all the time. They usually run out of data. And then the bottom, 90 million people probably don't have smartphones at all. So I'm going to move on to the next slide, where it gives a breakdown of Nigerians' income. And I've analyzed Nigeria so much because I know the Nigerian market, but you kind of see these kind of numbers in most African markets. So I've told you about the 12 million millionaires in USD, 12,000 millionaires in USD, which is very different from the 60,000 that you'd see in Mumbai, or the 27,000 that you'd see in New Delhi. And then here we have the upper middle class, and there are about 2 million people in the upper middle class in Nigeria that earn above $9,000 a year. $9,000 a year in Naira. Does anybody want to do the calculation? $9,000 in Naira. $1,000 is 500,000. So anybody in the audience want to give me the answer? What's $9,000? $9,000 times 500 Naira. 4.5. So there are only 2 million people out of 200 million people that earn more than 4.5 million naira a year, which is about roughly 300K. So that's the middle class that I'm talking about. And that is the upper middle class. So the upper middle class of Nigeria, the upper echelons of Nigeria, earn more than between 300 and 400K per month. Then we have the skilled aspirational. The skilled aspirational are the up-and-coming educated people in Nigeria. There's about 8 million of them, so there's much more than the upper middle class of them. And they earn between 4,500 and 9,000 yearly, and there's about 8 million people like that. And then you get to where most people are, the survivor class. These people earn about $1,000 a year, between $1,000 and $4,500 per year. That's about 500K per year is about 55K per month, or like between 40K and 50K a month. And that's where you see the huge numbers, right? So we've been dealing with 12,000, 2 million, 8 million. But where you see the bulk of Nigerians is this category here, this category on that 40, 50K per month. This is where you see 65 million people. So think about what you're selling and think about their income. If you want a market of 65 million people, then somebody with 50K needs to be able, 50K per month needs to be able to buy your product. But that's not even where the bulk of Nigerians are. The bulk of Nigerians actually are the masses, where you find 100 million people is below 50K a month. That's where you get your market of 100 million. So most Nigerians earn below 50K per month. Some will be on 25, some will be on 10. I've even seen people on 5 salary. That is where you see the bulk of Nigerians. So if you're designing a technology product and you're not segmenting out this market and being realistic about who is going to buy, you'll run into trouble in this market and in most African markets. And I've done this analysis for African markets. So if you look at China, you can see that China is the big boss of the middle class. When you look at the number of people that are earning over $10 a day in China, whoa, 1.3 billion people earn over $10 a day in China. And you can see they've almost broken the graph. And then when you go to countries like Brazil and Mexico and Indonesia and India, you can see there, you've got good numbers. earning over over $10 a day. And these are pretty huge numbers. And then you come to South Africa here. Well, this is still good, right? Sorry, I made a mistake with China. So China, it's actually out of their total population, it's 500 million. I said 1.3 billion, which is wrong. That's the total population. So it's actually 500 million that earn over $10 a day. So that's still a huge proportion of their population, right? If you go to Mexico, 56 million, so half of their population earn over $10 a day. That's fantastic. If you go to India, 40 million earn 40 million out of their total population earn over $10 a day. So that's still significant. You can still sell to them. In South Africa, 15 million out of 59 million earn over $10 a day. So look at the numbers in these countries. 500 million over $10 a day, because these are the people that you can reasonably sell a technology product to. Over $10 a day is a good amount of money where they can consume technology products. In India, in China, you have 500 million. That's your market. Not bad, right? See why Alibaba is moving. In Brazil, you have 100 million. That's still fantastic. In Mexico, you have 56 million. In India, you have 40 million. Even in common South Africa, you still have 15.9 million people living on more than $10 a day. And then you know the most embarrassing thing about this slide? In Ghana, ordinary Ghana next door to us, out of their population of 50 million, out of their population of 30 million, there are 5.2 million people. You understand what I'm saying, right? Yes. That earn over $10 a day. They have 5 million people that earn over $10 a day with a population of only 30 million. But we only have 3.7 million with our big sales that we are 200 million. These are individual people that earn $10 a day. That means it's easier to be middle class in Ghana. There are more, not in terms of proportion of the population, in absolute numbers. There are more people that earn above $10 a day in Ghana than there are in Nigeria. So I think we should stop saying ordinary Ghana. They've obviously done something right. They've created a larger middle class than us. And then we get into the rest of Africa, and I don't know whether those numbers, we want to go through them. Cameroon has 2.6 million. Ethiopia has 2.6 million. Cameroon has 3.1 million. And then you really get into 0.1, 100,000, 200,000, over $10 a day. Zambia at 900,000, you know, and we're not talking about rich people, we're talking about people over $10 a day. So when you're scaling in Africa and you're looking at the numbers, the product numbers, you just have to bear this in mind. Conclusion of this, think about addressable market, not about total market. Population can be deceitful, as I showed you on the last slide. Addressable market. Think about the macroeconomics as well. Is the inflation rates? Is the currency devaluing? Really think about resilient design. If you're designing your product, have an offline or USSD option. And think about scaling your product in layers. So not not A-B testing. Don't think of just two things that your product can do. A-Z testing. Try and make a product that is almost like a super app that can do a lot of things for the particular individuals that you're targeting, because you might not be able to get more individuals at that income level unless you're targeting bottom of the pyramid with your product. Thank you very much.